Hello, we are Group 3, Melissa, Nathan, Heidi, and myself, Robert, and we'll be presenting Saudi Arabia for a cultural project. Saudi Arabia is located on the Arabian Peninsula and named after the Saudi royal family. The current king is King Salam and has been on the throne since 2015 after replacing his brother. The country of 32 million has a complex and ancient history, and it's important to understand if you plan to do business in Saudi Arabia. One of the most important things to remember is that the country is home to Mecca, the holiest city in the Islamic world. It is important for every able-bodied Muslim to take the Hajj pilgrimage to the city at least once in their life. Saudis follow the Wahhabist, ultra-conservative version of Sunni Islam, and this leads them to be very fatalistic, with the belief that God has power over everything and it is ultimately his decision that will decide what happens. Saudi Arabia is also known for its oil. Since its discovery in the 1930s, oil is becoming an increasing part of the Saudi economy, making up 45% of the country's $646 billion GDP and 73% of state revenue. To help protect itself from fluctuations in the market, Saudi Arabia helped form OPEC, the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, alongside such countries as Iran, Venezuela, and Iraq. However, as the world continues to shift away from the oil-based economy, Saudi Arabia has continued to struggle to meet its budget. This has led to Saudi Vision 2030. It is a plan to reinvigorate the country led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And the plan has three parts: a thriving economy based less on oil and more on the service sector and tourism, a vibrant society based on a more moderate form of Islam, more education and better gender equality, and an ambitious nation which is well-led and not corrupt. Saudi Arabia is the United States' 23rd largest trade partner. We trade mostly in oil, but we also import fertilizers, fruits, and cheeses from them, and export aircraft, vehicles, and medical equipment. Saudi Arabia is opening up many opportunities for determined businesses. To capitalize on trade possibilities, we will now explore how to travel, experience, and conduct business in Saudi Arabia.
Do you think you would know the first thing about planning a trip to Saudi Arabia? Well, if you were like me, the answer would be no. Just a few weeks ago, I had no idea about their currency, time zone, lodging, cuisine, or social customs. But that's exactly what I'd like to talk about. Assalamu alaikum, peace upon you and hello. My name is Heidi, and today I would like to discuss the currency, time zone, social customs, restaurants, and lodging of Saudi Arabia, specifically in the city of Riyadh. The most important thing when traveling to Saudi Arabia is money. Before entry, you must establish personal assets of 60,000 Saudi riyals or 16,000 US dollars. It's also a good idea to inform your bank of any travel dates you have planned. That way, during your international trip, your funds are not frozen. As part of the Vision 2030 plan, Saudi Arabia hopes to have 30% of all transactions be digital or electronic ones. The Saudi riyal comes in increments of 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, and 500, and this is the national currency of the country. 1 riyal can be broken down into 100 halalas, which come in increments of 1, 10, 25, and 50. All currency depicts photos of kings and mosques. The exchange rate is $1 to every 3.75 Saudi riyals, and these can be exchanged at either airport in Seattle or in Riyadh, or in any major Saudi bank. After determining your assets and figuring out your flight dates, it's a good idea to plan the rest of your travel details, including flights and hotels. The next thing you'll need is a passport or visa to travel to Saudi Arabia, and it's a good idea that your visa be valid for 6 months after the dates of your planned travel dates. This is just in case you have any issues in customs or coming back home from your trip. Next is immunizations. The required immunizations are dependent on the country that you're traveling from. And the current recommendations for Americans include the influenza and also MMR, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. You should also be aware of local health concerns in the city that you're traveling to. Riyadh is currently experiencing outbreaks of MERS-CoV, which is a disease transmitted from camels. Also, schistosomiasis, which is transmitted from parasitic snails in fresh water. And also, chikungunya, which is transmitted from the bite of female mosquitoes. And all of these can be prevented or, basically just avoided altogether by wearing long clothing, layered clothing, and also just staying out of freshwater bodies. You should consider the 10-hour time difference between Pacific Standard Time and Arabia Standard Time. This can affect jet lag and also meeting times. It is also a good idea to take into consideration the cost of flights. The average cost for a round-trip flight to Saudi Arabia is $1,500, and after various fees and taxes, a British Airways round-trip ticket cost $2,300. This did include one free bag of luggage, and the trip there took 17 hours. The trip back from Saudi Arabia took 21. During your flights on the airplanes, you may encounter other business executives from American and Saudi Arabian companies. Major American companies include Coca-Cola, Bank of America, IBM, and AT&T. And major Saudi companies include SABIC, the Al Raj Bank, and also Saudi Telecom. These businesses and others are expected to grow and expand with the Saudi Vision 2030. After travel, you will need a hotel. A very common booking for business executives and travelers in general is the Makarim Riyadh Hotel, and this averages about $120 per night. It also comes with a variety of accommodations, including shuttles to and from the airport, continental breakfast, Wi-Fi and pool access, and also access to meeting rooms and different business attributes. The Cabrito restaurant is pretty close to the hotel and the airport and offers a variety of halal or permissible foods to the Islamic religion. Traditional foods include kabsa, which is the national dish. It's a mix of chicken and rice. Other popular dishes include shakshuka, which is an egg and tomato dish served with a flatbread called fatir. And a popular dessert is salig, which is a sweet hot rice pudding. Public dining is always observed first, whether it's a business or social event, and private dining is considered something to be done only when common trust has been established. If you are invited to a Saudi's home for dining, you should always remove your shoes, greet elders first, and also expect to dine sitting cross-legged on the floor. Honored guests are always offered the best things from the table, and this may include startling things such as a sheep's head. So it's a good idea to contain your reactions and just accept graciously. However, if you are not a fan of traditional cuisine, there are plenty of international brands represented in Saudi Arabia, including Pizza Hut, Burger King, and Dunkin' Donuts. However, all of these menus do not include pork products. They typically serve veal instead.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa and I will be introducing the entertainment side of Saudi Arabia, and I will be later talking about the social roles, the business roles, and the Saudi Arabian attire for both men and women. Now with entertainment, everybody loves dining, and it is a very favorite pastime activity, but so is shopping. Near the Makarim Hotel, if you head over to the Hyatt Mall, you can experience stores such as Sephora, Forever 21, and Dior. And also your favorite, Tim Hortons Cafe. Who doesn't love cafes? But my favorite part is heading over to the aqua parks. In this culture, they have attire specifically for hot weather. So might as well head over to Fantasyland, which is a aqua theme park that shows dolphins. It also shows bicycle riding for scenery, and it also has a full aqua park for kids and for family. Now, if you like puzzles, you should head over to Escape Arabia because they lock you in for 1 hour with your friends and your family, even your coworkers, and you have to solve every puzzle in order to escape. Now, if you love scenery, I do suggest you head over to the Madain Salah, which is a historic ruin. And it's very interesting to actually know because you get to understand more of the history and the culture and how it started. Now, you should also head over to the Abha Mountains for great scenery pictures. You get to see a variety of landscapes, and the feelings you get is just so pure and so serene. Now, in 2030, Prince Mohammed does want to create a sense of tourism and bring that to the Saudi Arabian culture by creating resorts and hotspots, by transforming the Red Sea coastline, and to be able to create more of a pleasurable and touristic experience for visitors.
Social customs are another thing to be aware of when traveling to Saudi Arabia. The first and very important is greeting people with handshakes. You should always greet with a handshake, whether it's an individual or a large group. You should also avoid talking wildly with your hands, and also only use your right hand for all social events, including handshakes, dining, and opening doors. You should avoid showing the soles of your feet to anybody, and also be aware of what you're photographing if you choose to take pictures. You should always avoid taking photos of women, children, and political buildings without permission. It's also much more polite to ask general questions during conversation instead of specific questions. So it'd be much more acceptable to ask something like, "How is your family?" instead of specific questions like, "How is your wife and children?" Being aware of these social norms will make your experience over in Saudi Arabia much more enjoyable. Tourism and travel is a main pillar to the Saudi Vision 2030 plan. We should expect to see a lot more diverse options when it comes to flights, lodging, dining, and also entertainment. And aspects to consider when you travel to Saudi Arabia is their currency and the exchange rate, the time zone differences, the flights, the hotels, cuisines, and social customs. Thank you.
For you to get a better and deeper understanding about the Saudi Arabia culture, you must understand how history has shaped the roles of men and women. Now, if you look at it, the regions are powered by the royal kingship through the religion of Islam. Now, every region has their own custom and has their own variations of the rulings they do decide to pursue. But one aspect does remain very important in any culture, and that is this idealistic factor of family. Now, family to the Saudi Arabians is the source of commitment, reputation, and love. Now, men in the Saudi Arabian culture is the dominating gender because they are expected by the Islamic religion to provide for their families. They are the people to give the financial and psychological support to their wives, to their children, and to their friends. Now, with women, They give a more of a nurturing aspect. They are taught through education to become the best mother they can be, to raise the value and to raise their children for a better future. So being aware of social roles and customs will ensure a better chance of having a successful business trip in Saudi Arabia. Now, according to labor laws, women do not usually work because the man is the one to work while the women stay at home. Now, that is currently changing as more women go into the work field through education, health, retail, and even in universities for their first jobs in order to also support their family. Now, construction workers have a hard time because, remember, male dominance was the key factor in the business world. So they have to redo the whole building in order to put separate bathrooms, separate offices, and separate cafeterias just to help with women coming into the work field. And that's why a lot of companies have a very hard time because that costs money, costs time and effort. Now currently, women can also invest in businesses and they can own their own property, which over time, due to the 2030 vision, has helped. Now, sadly, only 1/3 of women actually do work in Saudi Arabia, but Prince Mohammed bin Salman has mentioned in his vision that he wants to decrease that unemployment rate from 12.7% to a full 7% in the next 15 years in order to build women and build men and build a good future for Saudi Arabia. Now regarding Saudi Arabian attire, men traditionally wear a long ankle shirt called the thobe. Now they also wear a headdress as commonly seen through the picture as he is wearing. And the headdress is to protect against the harsh rays of the sun, but it's also to help with sandstorms because the climate is very hot, dry, and humid. Now, the headdress itself contains a large cotton cloth that can be checkered or it can be white, and it is paired with the igal. And the igal is that long strip of black cord that holds the headpiece in place. Now, with a business setting, you can wear traditional clothing, but it is best to dress with business attire of a dark suit, long or short sleeve shirt paired with dress shoes. Now with women, Saudi Arabian women typically wear, like she is wearing, a long robe called the abaya. Now under the abaya, she is welcome to wear bright, colorful dresses that are considered traditional dresses or modern dresses, and they usually have sequins, embellishments, and anything to reflect her personality. Now, with a business attire, it is mostly for women who do not have any Saudi Arabian culture. They are welcome to wear black or blue or any darker colored, high neck, long sleeve dresses paired with dress shoes in order to not show fully of herself, but to keep it more of an appropriate setting. Now with a lot of Saudi women, they keep their faces open and uncovered and their wrists uncovered. But everything else, all the way to the knees and to the ankles, are covered. Now variations through regions have women who do not keep their faces uncovered. And it is really just up to their own discretion if they do.
Hi, I'm Nathan, and I'd like to talk about meeting protocol, building trust, and greetings in Saudi Arabia. So the first part of your meeting in Saudi Arabia is common phrases. So we have Alam alaikum, which is hello, Shukran, which is thank you, and Raja, which is please. So there's a high focus on context in the Saudi Arabian culture, which is going to be a point of conflict for you and your business. So we're going to talk about how to deal with that and how to use these phrases in your meeting protocol. So one of the big contrasts in Arabian culture, which we're not used to in Western culture, is their perspective of space. So in a Western culture, typically you're going to find yourself standing like maybe 3 or 4 feet apart. In Arabian culture, it's going to be significantly closer than that. So really don't be afraid of it. Kind of just accept that they're going to stand really close to you and you're going to stand really close to them. That's just a normal thing that happens. The other thing is meetings will generally be really public. You're going to be in the middle of a meeting and then someone else is going to walk in and start talking to you, or you're going to be outside and there's people yelling, business happening. That's totally normal. That's something that you're going to get used to there. If you can accept that, that'll help build the trust between you and your employer that much better. The other thing, which is really strange to Westerners, is it's really common for somebody to hold hands. We're going to talk later about trust, and that's a part of that trust. So when two people are willing to hold hands during their conversation, it shows that they have a trust and a group that they're together and they're talking. So that's a normal thing that you're going to have to deal with. Again, accept that, just treat it as a normal thing, and you're going to be much more successful. So you'll notice here that we actually have our two business people holding hands again, as I mentioned, a normal thing. Your first meeting is going to be different than any of your other meetings because this is an important part of building that trust, right? So your first meeting might even be pretty hard to obtain. So expect them to be late to it, expect them to cancel it. It's not uncommon for you to show up and then have them say, oh no, we're not doing this right now. And they might not even be there. Their secretary might tell you, oh, we're not doing this right now. That's a normal thing. It's also fairly normal for them to keep Westerners waiting. It's almost like this weird hard to get that they play with the Western business people. If you can get through that, that'll make you that much better than the next guy. Some people cannot deal with that, and if you can deal with that, that pushes you up their list as somebody that they want to do business with. This first meeting, again, is going to be all about building trust. So it might not be about business at all. They might ask you about your family, they might ask you about your home, they might ask you about your business, they might ask you just about America and what you think of it. It's completely normal for this business meeting to feel like you got nothing done. You might be in the middle of the meeting and they might completely interrupt you and start talking to somebody else, or somebody else might walk in. As I said earlier, it might be in a public place, so in their place of business. Somebody else just might walk in and start asking you questions and they'll give them attention. This won't be consistent. This is only going to happen during your first meeting, so just let it happen. This is going to be a normal thing, and after you can do that, your next couple meetings will become a meeting that you're more used to. It'll become something more of a Western style where it's one-on-one in a room and you're just talking to each other about business. It's a normal thing, and if you can get past that, you're fine. Okay, yeah, thank you. Once you're past that first meeting, there's still some little differences. Like I said, it's going to be more something like you're used to, a more Western meeting, but there's going to be little things that are different, right? So as I said earlier, it's a high context culture. So when you're in a Western styled meeting, you might not pay that much attention to body language. There's a little bit of focus on it, but not nearly as much as the focus on it is in Saudi Arabia. So be really careful with your body language. Don't do anything that might seem rude, picking on your shoe, picking on your face. That stuff they really don't like. Also, pay attention to their body language because it might tell you something that you're not paying attention to. Paying attention to body language isn't something that we normally do, so get accustomed to doing it. Practice with your friends, your family. Kind of see what people are doing and try to make sense of it. That's something that's really normal over there. And to be able to recognize body language, you don't have to be an expert, but to be able to recognize it will help you a lot. The other thing that contrasts Western business is they almost have no agenda in a lot of meetings. It's common for us to, we have a list of things that we're going to do or check off these things. They're going to be everywhere. Again, just deal with that. Be patient. You see, patience and silence is valued. If you can show that patience, your trust can be built that much better. So deal with the fact that they don't have that agenda and embrace it. Being able to deal with that will make you a better business person. The other thing that they don't like is they don't like high pressure situations. Don't go in there saying with an ultimatum, you have to do this or we won't pay attention to you. That they will just brush you off. They don't want to deal with that. If you're patient with your proposal, they will accept it and a decision will be made. The thing that people are afraid of is that since there's no agenda and since they're almost relaxed, that they're not going to come to a decision. That's not true. A decision will be made. You just need to have the patience to do that. The other thing that is going to be strange is there might be part of the meetings where nobody says anything for like 2 minutes. That's weird to us. It's almost like nothing's getting done. Silence is valued. They're sitting here thinking about what they're going to do next. They're sitting here thinking about what they think of this idea. So embrace that silence and be a part of it. Think about during that silence. Take your time to think about what you're going to do. There's nothing wrong with that. As I've talked about too, building trust is really huge. They're huge on trust. And so here's some little things that you can do to build that trust, right? So repeat yourself. They really like that. So if you have one thing that you're trying to sell and you have these 4 things about it that are the best, repeat those 4 things. If you're repeating those 4 things, it says that you have confidence in them, and it says that you're not lying to them. It means that you know what they can do. So it's okay to repeat yourself. Do that as much as you want. They like that. As I said earlier, value patience. It's huge. Be patient with them. Be patient with the business. Value that silence. Let them have their time to make a decision. They will make their decision. Take the time. That goes with stick with their agenda. As I said, their agenda, they can have no agenda. They can go anywhere. Stick with it. Just follow it. Embrace it. That's normal there. So be a part of that. That's a part of doing business over there. And be flexible. There's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to be comfortable with, but if you can show that you're willing to be comfortable about them, that trust will be that much easier to build. And that flexibility goes even, the holding hand thing. That's not something that we're comfortable with here, but embrace that. It's a good thing to do. So be flexible with how you feel about things. Step out of your comfort zone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Vision 2030 will provide many opportunities to grow your business in Saudi Arabia. Innovative programs such as the Quality of Life program to improve healthcare, entertainment, and transportation, or with privatization programs to open up state-owned assets for investments should give American businesses much to consider. We hope that this presentation will help you on your trip to Saudi Arabia. Ma salama.